Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, helping you to live in tune with the natural cycles of the moon. This is your astrology horoscope for the new moon in Pisces, which occurs on Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022 at 12:33 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, what I think this new moon in Pisces is really all about is about us finally tying up old long-standing issues that have been a challenge for us for quite some time and tying them up pretty well, which is now bringing us new, I think, a better emotions and a feeling of peace that is a little bit going to take some time, I think, for us to more fully adjust to from here on out. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because I'm going to hop into it right now. Before I get into the details, though, what I like to do first is to place it on the chart so that you can see what it is I'm referring to in this video and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for the new moon in Pisces, and I've adjusted the chart accordingly. How do I know this chart is for the new moon in Pisces? Because we've got both the moon here and the sun at the exact same degree, 12 degrees here in the exact same sign of Pisces. Okay, so this is how I know we've got a new moon here. What are new moons all about? New moons are the beginning of a new lunar month or a new lunar cycle. And as a result, they're about new beginnings, new energy, and fresh starts in some kind of way, where we put our focus and attention into some slightly different area of our life in order to be worked out. Okay, what are we getting? A new beginning, a new energy, or fresh energy and momentum in Pisces, because that's a sign that both the sun and the moon are in here. What is Pisces all about? Well, maybe I'll start by saying that Pisces is a lot about the past, especially because it is the last sign of the zodiac, the 12th sign, of which there are only 12. And because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, it is kind of charged with, in some ways, taking care of old things from the past. So what do I think is going on? One of the things that this new moon in Pisces is that we're getting new energy and fresh momentum to more fully take care of, tie up old things that have been on our mind for a while. Okay, not only that, but I should also note too that Pisces is also about our intuition, the universe, and the divine here being, again, the last sign of the zodiac, which is very spiritual here, and a water sign. So what that means to me is not only is this new moon about us more fully tying up old things, but about us listening more, getting more momentum to listen to our intuition and tune into the universe and the divine in order to guide our steps here as we more fully resolve these old things and to move forward. Okay, not only that, but I should also note as well that Pisces to me is a sign of hope, faith, and optimism here, since it is so highly correlated to the divine and to the higher realms. So what that means to me is that not only is this new moon in Pisces here about us getting fresh energy to more fully tie up some things, old things that we've been working on for a while, and to do it more in touch with our intuition here and the divine and to higher power, but that us doing that here is restoring, I think, more of our hope, our faith, and our optimism here for life. Not only that, but I should also note too that Pisces, being a water sign, is a lot about our emotions too, and I think about our inner sense of peace and wholeness here, also being the last sign of the zodiac. And I should also note too, it's a lot about healing as well. So what does that mean to me? That not only is this new moon in Pisces about us getting more momentum to tie up old things, more in alignment with our intuition and the divine, and to feel much better, more optimistic and hopeful about life as a result, but it's also about us too, I think, getting new emotions that feel more healed or feel more at peace with ourselves and our situations here as well as we move forward. Okay, not only that, I'm going to keep going. Another thing too about Pisces as well is that it also has to do a little bit with beginnings, right? Again, because it's the last sign of the zodiac. So not only is the last sign of the zodiac charged with ending old things, but about pivoting those old things to start to yield something new, so that by the time we get to the first sign of the zodiac, Aries, it can actually start to take place. So what does that mean to me? It means to me that not only is this new moon in Pisces here about us getting more momentum here to tie up old things, more in touch with our intuition and the divine, and to feel more hopeful and optimistic, about all of those things here and to heal and to adjust our emotions accordingly. But it's also about us too, I think, starting to adjust some of our perspective towards new beginnings and better things as a result once this old stuff here is being taken care of. So I think it's a little bit about that too. Not only that, but I should also note as well that Pisces is also about surrendering and being patient, especially as we wait on divine timing, especially for the new stuff. This feels more new stuff. So what does that indicate to me? That not only is this new moon about us getting new energy to more fully wrap up old things, more in tune with the divine, that's going to be better for us, more healing, put us more at ease, make us feel more at peace and optimistic, so that we can start to shift our focus more onto new things. But this new moon in Pisces, I think, is also helping us to become more patient here as these new things begin to fall into place now, more fully and onwards, especially as we get to the new moon in Aries. Okay, and I think that's all that I want to say for right now about the major themes of this new moon in Pisces. Okay, but before I move forward to give you more details about those themes and how they are going to play out in the days and weeks after this new moon, I do want to move forward and backwards in time just a little bit before I move forwards here in order to explain to you how we got here and to give you the context of why these things that I just described are now coming up to be felt and experienced and lived through. And to go back to give you the context, I am going to go back a good bit still to 2020. Okay. This will probably be one of the last times I might do that. I'll probably do it again in the full moon in Virgo and probably through some of the Aries, the new moon in Aries and the full moon in Libra. So I might give you this 4 more times on YouTube here, but I should note, I think we're coming to the end of me going this far back, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back to April in 2020. If you want to listen to this portion, obviously I encourage you to do so. But if you do not want to, feel free to skip this section and move forward using the timestamps in the chapters I will put down below to this video. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and hop in. I'm going to start with the context here in between January to April of 2020 here. What happened in between January and April of 2020? Well, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all came conjunct in that time period here in the sign of Capricorn. Okay, what was that all about? Well, Jupiter is about is a big planet. Pluto is about change. Saturn is about the structure of our lives. So what does that mean to me? It means, and it's not pleasant, I need to know. It's not Capricorn. It's not always the easiest sign, and neither is Pluto and Saturn when they are together. So what does that mean to me? It means to me that in between January and April here of 2020, we started to realize more consciously that there was something that was off in our lives and had been for many years and decades prior, because it takes Saturn and Pluto about 35 years to come conjunct like this. We realized that something was off in our lives for many years and decades that we did not like, that was not good for us, or that was not in resonance with our true soul and with who we really are and wanted to be from here on out, and that something needed to change in a big way in order for us to move forward. Okay. That happened there. But even though we realized that in between January and April of 2020, I think the majority of us really struggled to fully make those changes in the way that we needed to overcome the old life and to move on into the new one, because we really struggled, I think, and hesitated to do that. Something I believe occurred around October of 2020, Libra season, the harvest of April here. Something occurred around October of 2020 to force us, trick us, motivate, inspire us, whatever word you want to use here, into doing what we realized in April of 2020 we needed to do here in order to more fully get rid of this old stuff in our life and move on. And because finally something kicked us into gear into April of 2020, we then got to that new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius in December of that same year, in December of 2020, where we finally started here now to make the moves, to end an old chapter here and to step into new, different, and better experiences from here on out. That was supposed to be very helpful. Okay, that then leads me to all of last year, which I'm going to chunk together, especially January here of 2021 all the way, which was the new moon in Capricorn, all the way now to the next new moon solar eclipse, which was in Gemini here in June of 2021. What happened then? Well, in between January and June of 2021, we started to try to embark on a new and better chapter in life without this old stuff we realized in April and the year prior we didn't actually like and we didn't actually want. But even though we tried to do it, it was difficult for us to fully embark on a new and better chapter in life. Why was it difficult for us to do? It was difficult for us to do because we still had old people, places, and things in the physical in our lives from the old chapter that we hadn't fully cut out, that we hadn't fully gotten rid of here, that were not good for us and moved forward. Not only was it hard for us to do it because of that, but it was also hard for us to move into a new and better chapter in life as well, because we still had mindsets that were stuck in this old chapter of life, and that we're perpetuating these things as well. That was very, very difficult. So what I think happened here in between January and June, and especially around June, as we got closer to June of 2021, we finally started to make more of the moves to cut these old people, places, and things in the physical out of our lives here so that we can move forward. And I believe we did that. That then now leads us to June of 2021, all the way now, I'm going to say to October of that same year. Again, the Libra season, important harvest season, October of 2021, when Mercury was retrograde right around that time. What was that about? Well, that was about us finally embarking more fully on a new and better chapter in life now that we had kicked out a lot of old people, places, and things we didn't want, that weren't good for us. And it was nice in a lot of ways. It was nice and it was working out better. But even though the new chapter in life was working out better, what we realized in this time frame is that we still did not fully get rid of the mindset and the emotions stuck in these old things. And because we got rid of the people, places, and things, but not the mindset that was still stuck in these old chapters in life, what happened here is that in between June and October, we recreated the old things we were escaping again in the new situations with the new people, the new places, and the new things here. That was not that great. And not helping, and very difficult. And because of that, around October of 2021, we said, no, we can't keep falling backwards here into old situations, old feelings, and recreating the same problems we've been trying to escape over and over again. So we cut out more of these mindsets that were keeping us stuck in these old things. And because of that, we then got to November here. I'm going to erase my chart again. We then, not that part. We then got to November of 2021, that new moon in Scorpio, right about here. What was that about? That was about us finally having gotten rid of the old people and the old mindsets in our lives here and being more fully ready to transform in all aspects of our lives here to finally be new and different without this old chapter that we'd been trying to escape. And I do believe that was very, very good. But even though that was very good, I believe that the new and better chapter in life here came on too fast and too strong for us in a way that we felt we couldn't handle. And because of that, I believe at the next full moon, which was a lunar eclipse in Taurus, I believe also in that same month, November of 2021, right around here, what we did is we said, we have to slow our situations way down. We slowed our situations way, way, way down so that we could make sure that we were comfortable with the process and more confident in it. And we're thinking more sensibly here about what was going on and about our next step so that we didn't make the mistakes that we made for most of all last year. Okay. And I believe us doing that was very, very helpful, especially too, because of the next new moon we had, which was now a solar eclipse here in Sagittarius in December of 2021 last year. What was that about? Sagittarius is very connected to the divine as well. So what was that about? That was about us now getting messages from the divine, from God, from our intuition, from the universe, from spirit here about what to do next to better maneuver our situations now that we were slowing down and thinking more sensibly and more carefully about what we wanted to do next. And I think these intuitions from the divine were a little confusing for us at first to hear and to understand, but were very, very helpful. So helpful, especially as we get to the next new moon here, which was January of 2022 this year with the new moon in Capricorn. What was that about? That was about us finally now being ready to see more of these old things go and more of these new things now to fully come together, and for that process, which started really sometime in April of 2020, to now more fully complete. Okay. We were finally ready for it. And not only were we ready for it, but it finally started to happen. We finally started to see the old stuff that we've been trying to get rid of go, and the new stuff that we've been wanting start to come more into the picture. As we move forward, which I liked. That then leads me to the next new moon, which is the last one here that we had in February of this year, 2022, right here in Aquarius. What was that about? That was about us finally feeling free in a significant way from these old chapters and old things that we've been trying to escape for a very, very long time, especially as a result of what happened in the months prior. But even though we were feeling free in a very big way from a lot of old stuff, at that new moon in Aquarius, we realized there were still a few more things. There were still a few more things that hadn't fully been worked out entirely in the ways that we needed to bring complete freedom and complete entrance into a different chapter in life in the way that we needed. And so we took that whole lunar month. I operate by the lunar calendar here. We took that whole lunar month to fix these and overcome and figure out these last few things here that were still keeping us stuck in old situations that we didn't want to be in. And because we did that, now this month, of which this video is for, this lunar month, the new moon in Pisces in March of this year, March of 2022, we now finally are feeling like the old is going and like new things are coming in here in a much better and I think more permanent way here. And we're trusting our intuition and the divine to help us navigate it. And I think we're doing more healing as we move throughout this process. And I think are feeling much better, much more at peace about everything here as it comes together. Okay. And I think that's it. I think that's all that I want to say in terms of the larger context of this new moon. Okay, because that was a lot, I'm just going to repeat that very simply one more time here before I move forward. So let me do that now. What do I think is the bigger picture, the larger context of this new moon in Pisces? Well, it's about us finally, more fully, more permanently releasing old things we've been trying to get rid of since 2020 sometime, so that we can now more fully step into new things from here on out. And it's about us trusting our intuition and the divine as we navigate that process and being more patient and at peace throughout the whole thing here as it occurs and working out our emotions here surrounding it as we move on. Okay, I think that's it. Because that's all I'm going to say here about that. I'm now going to move forward to talk more about the specific details about this new moon itself and about what's going on. And I'm actually going to start with some larger alignments here that are happening before I talk about the new moon itself. I think the larger alignments I want to start with is going to be this one. Mars, Venus, and Pluto here currently conjunct, all three of them, as you can see, the exact same degree and the exact same sign at the exact time here of this new moon in Pisces itself. What is all this about? Well, I will say this is in a similar spot that the Saturn-Pluto-Jupiter conjunction was in 2020. So I do see them somewhat related because of that. What else? Mars is about action. It's the planet of action here. Venus is about really peaceful and positive resolutions to things, since Venus naturally correlates to Libra here. And Pluto is about permanent change. Okay. And I want to note as well, I also see this as a good thing. I see this as a very good thing because Mars is in Capricorn. It's sign of exaltation. It likes to be here. It functions very well here, better than it does in almost any other sign. Not only do I like this alignment because of that, but I also like it too because Mars is next to Venus, and Mars and Venus like each other. Venus is one of the few planets I think that can handle Mars. Why? Because Mars represents the masculine principle in astrology and Venus represents the feminine principle. And I think it's fair to say that the masculine and the feminine like to be close to each other as they are here. So I like this. So what good thing is this bringing now to put all of that together? This is bringing very good actions to positively, actions Mars, to positively and peacefully resolve Venus, long-standing issues Capricorn that I think have been plaguing us since April of 2020, more Pluto permanently and long-term and long-lasting so that these issues do not keep creeping up again, time and time and time and time and time again, like they have for the past year or two, and I think even longer than that, okay? So that's what this alignment is to me at this new moon, coming into this new moon. Maybe to bring it together, coming into this new moon, we are acting on positive, peaceful, permanent, long-lasting resolutions here to old things, old chapters, old issues in life that have been plaguing us for quite some time so that we can overcome them here and stop falling backwards into them, okay? Now, could this feel a little bit intense? Sure, it's still Mars and Pluto at the end of the day. Could it feel a little bit intense? Could it feel a little bit scary? Could it feel a little bit overwhelming to finally be tying up and overcoming old things permanently and be drawing a line in the sand there? Yes, it can, but I believe that this is a very, very good thing, especially if you've been tracking with a lot of my other horoscopes here, okay? There is a way this can go more negatively, but I don't really think that this is how it's meant to go. So I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm going to address that a bit later in the video when I get to the summary. But this to me is very good. Okay. Another thing that's going on here at this new moon is also Mercury here coming into a conjunction here with Saturn, really starting to move away from it. I'm also liking this. Why am I liking this? Because again, the astrology is not new. It's very mature. Pisces is about ending old things that have been going on for a very long time. So to me, and is very mature. So that's another reason why I like it. And I think as we get more mature, we get healthier alignments of some of these things. Not only do I want to interpret this as a very good thing because of that, and a lot of other stuff I mentioned with the Mars, Venus, but also because all the planets are now direct. If there's ever a time we're going to resolve some things, to me, it's going to be when planets are also direct, helpful to give us more positive support here as we move forward. So I also like this. What is this about? Well, Mercury to me is about thinking and communicating here, being correlated to Gemini, and it's also about a lot of little details here being correlated also to Virgo, both Mercury ruled signs. And Saturn to me is also a symbol of permanence and finiteness. Okay, not only that, but Saturn to me is also a symbol of decision making. So what is this? I guess to bring it all together, what I think is going on here at this new moon in Pisces is that we are acting on permanent, positive, peaceful resolutions to long-standing issues that have been plaguing us for a long time, especially since 2020. And we are doing a lot of thinking and talking here to tie up the last few details of these old things in a more permanent way and to make the last few decisions that we need in order to move on, in order to more fully move on here in the ways that it is that we need. Okay. Could it? Yes, this could still feel intense. This could, with the Mars Pluto, this could still feel a little scary, but I do think this is very constructive. This is constructive here, tying up old stuff in very good permanent ways and making the last few decisions here in order to move on. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment here that I want to mention. Okay. Which is going to be that new moon itself. We're going to have the new moon now here in Pisces, making a conjunction. Let's go there, making a conjunction to Jupiter. It's very close, about 2 degrees. So what does that mean to me? Well, new moons are about new energy here. They're about new momentum. Pisces is about feelings and emotions. Jupiter is at home in Pisces. It's one of the natural rulers of Pisces, helping to superpower that, especially since Jupiter is one of the biggest planets here, helping to superpower that. Not only is Jupiter about new things and emotions and things like that, but it's also about passion, hope, and faith as well. So what does this mean to me? It means to me that, yes, I wholeheartedly believe at this new moon in Pisces, we are acting on positive, permanent, peaceful resolutions to long-standing issues that have been plaguing us for quite some time. And we are doing a lot of thinking and talking about the last few details in order to fully make decisions on those things to tie them up. And that is what making us feel like a new and different person here. Feel Pisces, new moon conjunct Jupiter, like a new and different person, not just in a little way, in a big way. It's making us feel like a new and different person without this, as much of this old stuff bothering us now that it's getting tied up. Okay, not only is it making us feel like a new and different person, I think this is a good thing. It's a good thing, especially with Jupiter bringing gifts and optimism and being in its home sign. So not only are we just feeling like a new person in a big way, but I think we're feeling like a new person that's more at peace with our situations and with the way things are working out, and that's more connected to the divine, and that's more hopeful and passionate and optimistic about what is to come. Okay. I did already kind of mention this earlier in the video. I'm kind of backing into the new moon here, but I want to say this is good because things are resolving themselves. We are feeling quite good now and at peace with how things are going and like a different person with a new lease on life. Not only that, but I also get the feeling that we're feeling more refreshed and more rejuvenated. With the Jupiter, even with the Mars, the Venus, we're feeling more fresh and rejuvenated. Now that this old stuff is gone, thank goodness, not only are we feeling new, different, better, more at peace, but we're feeling like maybe now we can do something after this point. Maybe now we can do something after this point that we actually like, that we're more excited about without it being so encumbered by all of this old stuff here that I think is very, very helpful. Not only that, but this new moon itself, conjunct Jupiter, is also making a sextile over here to Uranus in Taurus. Okay, while I should note the Mars, Venus, Pluto is also making a good aspect to another Taurus planet here, the North Node. Okay, both of these things to me are very, very good. Bringing what? Well, Taurus is about stability. It's about security. It's a lot about confidence in ourselves and our abilities and in our situations here. That I do like. The North Node to me is positive. I like the sextile. To me, sextiles are very positive in this instance as well. And Uranus is about the sudden and the unexpected. So what does this mean to me? It means to me to continue bringing it together, that at this new moon, we are tying up old things that have been keeping us stuck for a while, peacefully, positively, permanently, and making the last few decisions about the last few details about that. And that has given us a new lease on life here to feel new, different, better, more passionate, more excited, more rejuvenated, more refreshed about life and about what is yet to come and about what we ultimately want to do. And because of that, we are suddenly and unexpectedly, I think, feeling even more confident in ourselves and what we've been working through and what we're able to do from here on out, and even more stable and secure in what we've been able to create throughout all this time here in order for us to move forward, and more grounded, which I really like a lot here. Okay. Which is very, very good. Okay. All of these things, in my opinion, are very, very good. This is like, I think, one of the best new moons that I've seen in a while. So I really, really like this. Is there anything that is a challenge now that I might think, in my opinion, as a challenge? Some of you might think this other stuff is a challenge with the Mars, Venus, Pluto, the Mercury, Saturn. That's not, in my opinion, even though I will address that in a minute. What do I think is more of the challenge here really about this new moon in Pisces? Well, to me, more of the challenge is going to be the fact that this new moon is fairly is near a conjunction also with Neptune. It's kind of far, right? 10 degrees is kind of far for a conjunction here to a new moon, but you have to realize these planets are in motion. So even though the new moon is still 10 degrees away from a conjunction with Neptune, the moon is going to be there very quickly after the new moon, and the sun is going to be there within 2 weeks, a week or two, a week and a half after. So I know 10 degrees is kind of far for a conjunction, but both the sun and the moon are going to be very soon. So I'm going to talk about that. And this to me is really more of the challenge of this new moon in Pisces and not any of this other stuff. Why is this the challenge here? I know that Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, but I need to note that Neptune is a very far out planet from where we live. And because Neptune is a far out planet from where we live, it is sometimes a little bit difficult for us to comprehend. So this can be a little bit of a challenge here. What is the challenge? Well, because Neptune is hard for us to comprehend, it can bring some confusion about some things or some emotional sensitivity about some things or some kind of haze, like we can't see through the veil of what entirely is next. So what does that mean to me? I guess to bring it all together, it means to me here that at this new moon in Pisces, very good things are going on. We are positively, permanently, peacefully tying up old things that have been bringing us down for a while and making decisions about the last few details here, which is making us feel new, different, better, more optimistic, more passionate, more rejuvenated, more refreshed about life, and more stable, secure, and confident suddenly and unexpectedly, which is very good. And even though all of that is very good, there is some kind of confusion here, an emotional sensitivity that still lingers. What is the confusion and the emotional sensitivity? I think the confusion and the emotional sensitivity here is that we're still processing emotionally all these old things and what they mean to us and how they've happened, even though physically they are tying up. And we still have to work through some of the emotions surrounding it now that these things are leaving. And also because we're a little bit unclear of what exactly is coming next more fully since we've been so encumbered with this old stuff. So that to me is more of the issue. Old is leaving, new is coming, especially in the physical. Good, good, good. Feeling new, feeling better. But we still are emotional a little bit about what's leaving and about the whole process that we've been through. And we're still in a haze about what exactly is to come. Okay. I want to note, I think they're connected. I think we're in a haze about what is to come, the new stuff, not because there's anything wrong with the new stuff, not because we don't necessarily know what to do that's new. I think we know what's new. I think we know what's coming. I think we know what to do in a lot of ways, but I think that we're in a haze about what's next because of the emotions. And I think that once we heal the emotions more and process the emotions more about what we've been through, I think what's next is going to become a lot more clear and a lot more easier to work with. So I want to note that I do think the issue is both, but I think one is causing the other. And we need to focus on the emotions first and more fully understanding and getting those in a better place before we become clear on the next. Okay. And I think that's all. That I want to note, yes, at the time being here, about this new moon. Okay. Because of that, I'm now just going to erase the chart as I've already done here and repeat those things one more time, even though I think I've done a good job at bringing it together throughout this video without the astrological jargon here, so you can get a better sense of what I think is going on. So let me do that now. What I think is going on here at this new moon in Pisces is that we are positively, peacefully, and permanently resolving long-standing issues that have been bringing us down for quite some time, especially since 2020 here. And we are having a lot of thoughts and conversations to make decisions here to tie up the last few details of these things that have been keeping us stuck. And us doing that is making us feel remade, like a new and different person, and helping us to feel better and more at ease and more excited about our life and what is to come, and to start to see new, different, and better possibilities for ourselves from here on out. But even though that is occurring here, I think there is still some emotional sensitivity about this old stuff and confusion here as well about the new stuff that still lingers here, that's preventing us from fully settling into a new and better chapter in life that's difficult here and that needs to be dealt with, especially the emotions now that we're in a better place. Especially the emotions need to be dealt with here and need to be healed and honored and worked out more, because that is then going to help us, not now, but maybe at the next full moon and onwards, probably more the new moon in Aries, the next new moon. It's going to help us more fully start to embark on new and better chapters in life in a less complicated, more easy kind of way without as much of the stress. Okay. So that's what I want to say there. Okay. What else do I want to add? I'm going to add a few more notes, I think, about what I just said, and then I'm going to give you an alternate interpretation for those of you who are not liking this energy at all and are not feeling quite what I'm saying at all. I'm going to address that. But before I do that, let me tie up some things here. Okay. What I want to say now, the issue I want to linger on here is that the emotions are super, super important, okay? If you're tracking with this interpretation that I've given you so far, I do not believe that there is anything wrong with these old situations. I think they are leaving just fine, okay? And I think you are coming up with very good resolutions to those things. I also do not think that the issue is with the new stuff. I think the new stuff is coming well, and will be made more clear in good ways over time. I think the real issue about this new moon in Pisces, which I got to, I guess, a little bit later here, is the emotions, is that we still haven't fully emotionally adjusted to the fact now that life is going to be different and better. Okay, that's the real issue here. And it may sound small, but it can affect our decisions in big ways from here on out. So I think the point I want to really linger on now is if there's any way that you can use the energy of this new moon in Pisces in a supportive way, it is not to make big strides in your physical environment, especially not to do anything new or different. Not that that's not coming together, not that it's not working out, but the best thing you can do with this new moon in Pisces is to honor your emotions, understand your emotions, heal your emotions, and adjust. especially because Pisces is a water sign, emotional, mutable, to adjust your emotions now to different circumstances in your life, and I think better ones, and to do that in whatever way works for you, okay? For some of you, when it comes to dealing with your emotions, crying is a good way to go. Letting yourself cry out old emotions, whatever it is that you need to do. If you're not a big crier, if you feel like I got nothing to cry about, then another thing I might recommend is journaling or writing, right? Because journaling and writing helps you get in touch with your emotions and with what's going on in order to more fully honor and recognize what is happening here. So that's another thing that I might recommend. If not that, I may also recommend meditation, right? Pisces is a very spiritual sign. It's the last sign of the zodiac. It's got to be spiritual. It's been through everything. It's at the end of a cycle. So I also recommend meditation because that also helps you to feel more calm, figure out the emotions, and connect more with the divine. If some of you are not meditators, then I recommend some kind of spiritual practice, whatever that is for you here, in order to more fully understand your emotions and to work those things out. Okay, what else might I recommend here? Sure, Pisces also likes water and nature. So I also recommend some of you being in water or nature may also help you to honor the emotions and to get peaceful, whether it's gardening, taking a hike in the mountains, going to the lake, being in a shower, that can also help. Another thing too I recommend is rest. Pisces is a sign of sleep. Why? Because when we rest and when we sleep, a lot of things happen in our subconscious that we don't see to help heal and rejuvenate and work some things out. So I also recommend that here as well, and putting more of your attention there first, because you focusing on the healing and the working out of the emotions is going to make anything else you want to do from here on out much better to do, and much easier and less stressful. Okay, so I think that's what I want to say there. Maybe just to repeat that before I add some other things. I truly do believe that the external environment is fine. The external thing you're ending, fine. The external thing you're beginning, fine. The main focus here is the emotions. Got to work those out. And it's not that the emotions aren't good. I need to note, I think the emotions are good. It's the fact that the emotions are good but unstable. The emotions are good, but still a little unstable. The emotions are positive because our situations are changing, but there's still a tendency here to fall backwards, to wax nostalgic, to be a bit sensitive about these things, especially because neither Pisces nor Jupiter are a stable influence. Pisces is mutable. Jupiter is also kind of crazy. So I think that that's more of the real thing here, is to spend this new moon working out the emotions, not because the emotions aren't good. And this is key. I should have mentioned this sooner. Not because the emotions aren't good. I think the emotions are good, but because the emotions are not stable enough. They're not, there is some stability here. It's because the emotions are not good consistently enough. That's the word. It's because the good emotions are not consistent enough. They're not as balanced. They're not as balanced or as even keel in the way that we need in order to sustain them more fully. So focus on that, okay? Don't focus on these tie these external situations up. Do put the focus in on that. It's important, but I think it's working out. Focus internally on the emotions before you do anything else, to make sure that they're good, which I think they are, and that they are sustainable here, and that you've worked through so that you've worked through the deep issues, so that this stuff doesn't come back to haunt you later on. Because I do worry, especially seeing the astrology for the full moon in Virgo, which is not that nice. I do worry here that if some of you don't spend the time here working out your emotions to make sure that they are good and good in a sustainable way, and that you've gotten to the bottom of your subconscious and what's going on, I worry that if you don't do that now, you're going to run into big problems 2 weeks from now. You're going to run into big problems at the full moon in Virgo, because your subconscious emotions are going to wreak havoc because they haven't fully been addressed. So spend the time now to deal with those emotions here, and to fully settle into them, so that it's not as much of an issue later on. Okay. And I want to say as well, spend time working with your emotions, especially if they still feel challenged, but also especially if they feel good. Because sometimes when our emotions feel good, they're not all the time. Sometimes when our emotions are good, we're good. But sometimes when our emotions are good on the surface, there might be something that we're neglecting internally, subconsciously, especially after what we've been through. So I want to really emphasize here, this isn't just a message for you if you're struggling emotionally. I think this is really a message, more of a message for those who are feeling good emotionally. This is more of a message for those who are feeling good emotionally, because I think you're the ones that this is more representing here, and because I think you're probably the ones that need to make sure that this is sustainable and can more fully settle into this from here on out. Okay, so I think that's what I want to say. Now, if I wanted to mention a few other points, I'm going to go in an opposite direction now. If I wanted to mention a few other things, what I want to talk about now is if you're not feeling what I just said. If there are some of you that are watching this video, even though you've probably clicked off by now, but if there are some of you who have been watching this video or who know people that are like not getting this at all, no positive, peaceful, permanent resolutions to long-standing issues, no helpful decisions to tie up old things, no new, better emotions. They're all bad, sad, and everything's a mess. If that's you, okay, or if you know somebody, if that's not you, if you know somebody that's going through that, now I want to speak to you. What do I want to say here? Oh, my chart's not drawing anymore. Okay. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So what do I want to say to you? Okay. I want to say to you that that is a possibility. Let me start there. That is a possibility because of the Mars, Venus, Pluto stuff, which I had just circled here, and because of the Mercury, Saturn. Okay, that is a possibility because these are not super, Mars and Pluto here are not always the best, and neither is the Mercury, Saturn. Okay, my chart's not working. That's fine. It's not always the best. So some of you may not be experiencing great things at all. If that is you though, what is my opinion here? If that is you and you're coming into this energy and you're like, no, it's a mess in my life. It's even worse than it's ever been. If that's you, then my response to you is it's not because of this new moon in Pisces itself. First of all, no new moon is strong enough to really start anything on its own. New moons are really passing influences. It's more the larger planets that we need to do things here. It's not this new moon that's causing it. If that's you, what was really causing it was 2020, Saturn and Pluto of 2020 when that happened. That is two slower moving planets here and not a good alignment. So if you are feeling very bad at this new moon here, what I want to be very clear about is that it is not this new moon, and there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with my interpretation. It is the fact that there is something here in your life or in the other person's life from April of 2020 that was not fully addressed, that was not fully changed or overcome and onwards in the way that it needed to be, which means that some of you didn't change anything throughout the past 2 years. You realized, oh, maybe something needs to change, but I'm not going to change it. Or you didn't realize that anything in your life needed to be changed at all. So what that means to me is that if this is very traumatic for you, which it can be with the Mars, Venus, Pluto, and the Mercury, Saturn, it is not because of this new moon. It is because something in April of 2020 was not seen, even though it was definitely going on then, that needed to change in your life, or you did see it, but you didn't do anything about it, and now it's coming to bite you in the ass and say, oh, well, you didn't see me, now you got to deal with me. So now you're getting it later when this should have been done earlier in order to figure these things out. Okay, because these things in astrology can't be skipped. I know sometimes we can try to play tricks on life with life. We can say, oh, well, if I don't acknowledge this thing that needs to be acknowledged in my life, maybe it'll just go away. Maybe it'll just go away. Maybe the astrology will get better, and maybe it'll just figure itself out on its own. That's not the way, in my opinion, the astrology works. That's not the way I interpret it. So if now you're experiencing big, frustrating events in your life that feel very chaotic, it is not because of now, it's because something was not done previously, especially since April of 2020, to make big, significant, sweeping change in your life, and now you got to do it because you can't skip these steps. Okay, not only do I think that might have been the issue, but some of you right? That might have been the issue. And sorry, and I should say in between January and now, your life has not been turning out well. Okay, another thing that I want to say, I think is also part of the issue. If some of you are experiencing bad things, not only is part of the issue is that there was something between now and 2020 here that wasn't changed or realized it needed to be changed and to be overcome, but another issue for some of you is that you have been changing things in your life, but you're still not content with how they've changed, right? And you're sad. And another issue that it is for some of you was the last eclipse, right? The last eclipse was in Sagittarius here in December, was in Sagittarius in December of this past year, 2021. And that eclipse, solar eclipse in Sagittarius in December of 2021, in my opinion, was about us getting on God's frequency, our intuition's frequency, the universe's frequency, the divine, whatever word you prefer, which essentially means us wanting what God wants, us wanting what the universe wants for us. So another issue for some of you, if you're experiencing bad events or bad feelings in your life right now, is not this alone, is not this new moon. It's that there was something from 2020 that either wasn't seen that needed to change or wasn't changed at all, or it was something from that last solar eclipse in December of 2021 where you did not align with what the universe and the divine wants for you. Because when you align with the universe and what the divine wants for you, there is peace. There is no feeling of, oh, well, I should have been in this relationship with this person and they didn't treat me well. Oh, well, I should have been doing this. No, when you want what God wants, when you want what the universe wants, you say, God, may your will, not my will, be done. And as long as your will is being done here, the universe, then I am good. Then I am good. We're good. Let's move on. Better things, let's come. So I think that's what I want to say. If you are experiencing very difficult events here, because Mars and Pluto can do that. They're the planets of war, right? And they are together at this time. It's not because of now. It's because something from the past here wasn't done. You didn't realize something needed to change. You didn't change it here. Or if you did realize it needed to be changed and changed it, you're still not on the divine wavelength here to come to terms with what is now happening. Okay. How do you resolve that? If that's you, now what? If that's you, now what? Well, you have to go back to do these things. If that's you, this energy, you're not there yet. Everything I just did, you're not there yet. You got to go back. If that's you, you have to go back to make change. You have to go back to make the changes you should have done then, to end the things, to begin the things, to have the hard conversations, to get these people and things out of your life. And you got to confront your own emotions to get to peace, to come to terms with what's going on. And once you do that, then you're going to get here. Once you do that, then you're going to get here. Once you do that, then you're going to feel like old things are being resolved permanently and the way they need, peacefully, positively, in order for you to move on. And you got new feelings, new, better, exciting feelings that you need to hold on to in order to sustain. Okay. So don't mistake me here. I know there are a lot of things that can go kind of wrong here when you're listening to the astrology, living your life, interpreting things here. But I don't want to mince words here. This is not something wrong with my interpretation. If some of you are not doing well, it's because something was not done properly, and the only way to fix it is to go back to make change in your life, to end and begin things, and to adjust your perspective. Okay, another thing that I want to note as well is that if this is not you, if some of you are good, then some of you may be dealing with another person who you're intimately connected to, who did not learn the lessons, and they're frustrating, now creating havoc in your own life. Okay, and if that's you, unfortunately, you're either going to have to deal with these people. If it's not you, it's someone else. You're either going to have to deal with these people to protect yourself from them and to guard yourself, or cut them out of your life, whatever you can do. Okay. But realize now in that specific instance, if it's not you, but if it's someone else that's having the issue that you're intimately connected to, realize it's not now, it's something they didn't do. And you have to either separate from them or protect yourself from them here so that they don't get the best of you. All right. And I think that's what I want to say. Okay. I don't like delivering these kind of messages. I really don't. I really don't like telling people that. But I strongly feel this new moon in Pisces is meant to be very, very good. Tying up permanently positive, peacefully old, long-standing issues and feeling new, different, better, more rejuvenated, even if we're still a little sensitive and hazy about some things and need to more fully work through that. And if you're not getting that, it's not this new moon. It is something else that you or a person you're connecting with did not do before that now is a huge issue that needs to be resolved. The quicker, the better here in order to move on. Okay. And that's it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the inside degree here for this new moon so that you can get another opinion, another perspective on what is going on here. So I've pulled the inside degree up on the screen. They weren't written by me, but they were written by a man named Elias Lonsdale. Elias, I'm not sure how you say that, who channeled these messages from Spirit. Okay, who you can find online, but he also has a book. You can purchase his book as well that has all of these. But it's hard for me to show a book and a video, so that's why I use the online. Okay, I want to note that the new moon is at 12 degrees. I think that I like that one the best. Not that 11 isn't interesting, not that 11 Pisces might not resonate with you, but I think I like 12, and I think I just want to save time today for some reason, so I'm just going to read 12. If you would like to read 11, please feel free to pause the video now in order to look at it, but I'm going to focus on 12. I also want to note as well, I don't think 13 is it. 13 doesn't resonate with me. I have Mars at 13 degrees Pisces. I know what that feels like. It is not what we're feeling. It's not what this new moon is about. So 12 is it to me. So let me do that. All right, it says drama, color, sound, magnitude, and shakings. You dream through it all in an enchantment which simultaneously protects and stifles. What does that mean to me so far? Again, I think this is supposed to be a good new moon. So what this indicates to me is that at this new moon, we are positively, peacefully, permanently resolving and tying up old, long-standing issues that have been plaguing us for quite some time. And because of that, our world is shaking. I think in a good way. We're experiencing major magnitudes and shakings in our inner world and in our external world for the better, right? To get us on some kind of different path. And it feels surreal, right? We're dreaming through it, enchantment. It feels very surreal. That's what this means to me so far. Good things are happening in our lives to overcome old stuff, to step into new stuff. And it's happening in a very significant way in our lives. Feels huge, and it feels so surreal. I can't believe this is happening after all that I've been through. Is this happening? Is this really going on here? Not only that, but I like the word, it simultaneously protects and stifles. So what does that mean to me? Not only that things are shifting at this time in a big way, and it feels a little bit surreal, but that this shifting, I think, towards better experiences and this surrealness is good because it's making us feel safe and protected and separate from what's happening here to let the divine, right, take care of it as we move forward. But even though it's a good thing, it's also a bad thing because us feeling so separate and detached from this surreal event that's going on is stifling us from stifling us from what? I think from fully honoring the emotions, from fully seeing what's going on here, from fully working things out within our own soul. Okay. It says this, an ancestral power of suspended life force held away while great events surround and envelop you, yet do not penetrate. Right? It's another symbol like here of great things happening all around us, big things and inside us, but it feels surreal. We feel separate. Yet again, we feel separate. We feel separate. They're not deep. They're not deeply coming into our core and being worked out in the way that it needs. And that's good because taking big things and preventing them from penetrating deeply into our soul protects us in some ways, but doesn't allow us in other ways to get to the root of what we need. It says you experience a most unusual soul disposition of deep sleep in the teeth of collective and ancestral events and experiences which are huge and never ending. Is it a grace or a curse? It can be either. It becomes a grace if you awaken in right timing and move on from here. It can be a curse if you stay down under too long and miss the cue to stir and look around and discover that the future has dawned and the old ways have fallen away. Sleeper awake. I love that. Sleeper awake. So what does this mean to me to continue interpreting what I think is being said here for this new moon is that something big is going on here. The old is falling away, the new way is coming, and we're feeling the magnitude of it externally and internally in our lives. But because it's so big, and I think because we've been trying to get here for a very long time, it seems surreal. Is this really happening? Is it not? And we feel separate and detached from it. And the separation and the detachment is good in some ways because we feel protected from what's actually going on here, but bad in other ways because we're not fully integrating the experience deeply and emotionally in the way that it is that we needed. And this is a good thing. The surrealness and not letting it penetrate deeply can be a good thing and is a good thing, but only if we realize, but only if we don't linger too long in this space. That's what it is. And this can be a good thing here, but only if we don't linger too long in this space. Only if we don't linger in the separate surrealness and move in the right time here to let it all hit home and move in. And I don't mean move in an external way, not move in an external way, move in an internal way. This is a good thing only if we do not let it linger too long, only if we do not let this surreal, separate detachment linger too long. And if we are able to let it penetrate, to let it come more deeply into our soul and to more deeply realize the potential that is here and how much things are going to be different from here on out, because they are going to be different from here on out as we move forward. Okay. And I think that's the real point here with the new moon conjunct Neptune that's going on. Something's very good. A lot of things shifting in our lives for the better, but it's not hitting us deeply yet. And that's good because it's protecting us from a lot of things, but bad here because it's not allowing us to see what's next. And it's okay for us to be in this surrealness for a minute, for a hot minute. It's okay for us to be in this surrealness for a minute, but we eventually are going to need to learn here to deepen into this feeling, to deepen in this feeling of life being different and of life changing, and to fully acknowledge and realize and heal from this old stuff in order for us to move on. We need to do that, especially because if we don't, the full moon in Virgo is not going to be that enjoyable. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull your card for this time period. Okay. Whenever it wants to appear. Okay, there we go. What is your card for this time period? It's the Nine of Swords upright. So it indicates to me that a lot of you are worried, fearful, anxious. Worried, fearful, anxious. I think that the past is going to repeat. I think that's what it is. The past is going to repeat. That old times are still around, that they're not going to go away. Also indicates to me that maybe some of you are having nightmares or trouble sleeping or weird dreams with this card. This also indicates to me too, we've got the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck, that some of you are also having difficulty accepting that better times are here and seeing that better times are around. And what is the advice? I think the advice that I want to give you is you got to face this head on. You got to face this head on. You got to make the subconscious conscious. You got to get more clear on what these fears are and on what's going on, especially, again, we've got a first quarter moon in Gemini, Mercury, full moon in Virgo, Mercury. You got to make these things more clear. You got to make I think that's the advice. You have to make the subconscious more conscious at this time, or else it's gonna. What's the quote by Carl Jung? I think it's by Carl Jung, right? Or Freud. I think it's more Carl Jung. It says you have to make the subconscious conscious, or else it's forever going to rule your life, and you're going to call it fate. So you really have to make the subconscious conscious here. I think at this time, and to look straight in the eyes of what your fear and your worries and anxieties are about whatever different experience of life you're going into here, because I think that's going to help you better understand it and work your way around it and see that they're not that, and that you're fine, and that you're fine now, and that you're starting to come into a better place here. Okay. I think that's the advice. Don't let this linger. Don't let this linger. You got to go deeper into what you're feeling. Don't let it linger for too long. Don't let this weird feeling linger. You have to go deeper into what you're feeling, because I think that's going to help. All right. And I think that's all I'm going to say there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, share it with your friends, check out my website, wondergirlastrology.com, and I will talk to you on the next video.